welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. India-US hold 2+2 ministerial dialogue with talks centered around Russia-Ukraine crisis. India provides assistance to Sri Lanka to overcome economic crisis. And Christians celebrate Palm Sunday in India with religious fervour. Let's begin the show. The United States has cleared air around the alleged differences between Washington and New Delhi after India's continuous purchase of oil from Russia amidst protracting Russia-Ukraine war. The United States, which referred to the talks between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Joe Biden as constructive, said that New Delhi was in no violation of US sanctions. Meanwhile, Indian Foreign Minister S. Shankar called out the selectivity of the global media houses, citing that it was letting off European countries for the same thing it was singling out India for.
The Russia-Ukraine war has entered 8th week and the world continues to gaze from the sidelines. Sanctions over Russia to cursive diplomacy have not been able to put a stop to the conflict that has taken a massive toll on civilians in Ukraine. All Ukraine has witnessed in the past few weeks is buildings turning into rubble and people either leaving their homes or dying a horrific death. In the backdrop of this plummeting situation, the leaders of two biggest democracies, India and the United States, held a virtual dialogue this week. US President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's talk focused primarily on Ukraine. The talks took place as the United States seeks more help from India in applying economic pressure on Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Modi said he had suggested to Russia that President Vladimir Putin hold direct talks with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky.
इस पूरे घटनाक्रम के दौरान मैंने यूक्रेन और रूस दोनों के राष्ट्रपतियों से कई बार फोन पर बातचीत की। मैंने न सिर्फ शांति की अपील की, बल्कि मैंने राष्ट्रपति पुतिन को यूक्रेन के राष्ट्रपति के साथ सीधी बातचीत का सुझाव भी रखा।
Over the past few weeks, India has tried to balance its ties with Russia and the West, but unlike other members of Quad countries, United States, Japan and Australia, it has not imposed sanctions on Russia. And while the US media has tried to peddle a narrative where it has vilified India for maintaining its strategic stance, Washington came up with a clear statement saying that nothing had impacted the Indo-US ties and the meeting too was constructive. Biden told Modi he is looking forward to seeing him in Japan on about 24th of May.
The United States and India are going to continue our close consultation on how to manage the destabilizing effects of this Russian war. And I'm looking forward to our discussions today. Mr. Prime Minister, our continued consultation and dialogue are key to ensuring the U.S.-Indian relationship continues to grow deeper and stronger.
However, the interesting turn of events was witnessed post 2+2 dialogue where India busted the global media's reportage as conjectures and selectivity have been the basis of their stories on Indian interests in the past few weeks. Indian Foreign Minister Subramanyam Jaishankar explicitly expressed that India knew what it was doing and all it wanted was peace. While the international community, with the support of international media, has been spinning the narrative that India has somehow been supporting Russia, Jaishankar called out that it was Europe which was doing more oil deals with Russia than India.
Now, as Secretary Blinken has pointed out, we have made a number of statements which outline our position in the UN, in our parliament, and in other forums. And briefly, what those positions state is that we are against the conflict, we are for dialogue and diplomacy, we are for urgent cessation of violence, and we are prepared to contribute in whatever way to these objectives. I noticed you refer to oil purchases. If you are looking at energy purchases from Russia, I would suggest that your attention should be focused on Europe, which probably we do buy some energy which is necessary for our energy security. But I suspect, looking at the figures, probably our total purchases for the month would be less than what Europe does in an afternoon.
India has bought around 13 million barrels of Russian crude oil since Russia offered steep concessions following it received cursive and ostracizing actions from the West. However, the news that hasn't reached the common masses is that it is the West that has increased its Russian oil demands in the past few weeks. So clearly, it is a narrative battle which some countries believed until Jaishankar exposed them as their forte. And New Delhi has only firmed its position, saying it will do everything that suits its strategic interest and meet its energy security. However, Indian stance, as history and present suggest, has never been ever remotely close to violence, unlike others who preach what they never practice.
Let's move to Sri Lanka. The island nation continues to face instability due to ongoing economic crisis. Neighbouring India has come to the rescue of Sri Lanka as it continues to provide assistance to shore up the sinking economy of the island nation. We have a report.
People in Sri Lanka continue to face difficulties due to the economic crisis and shortage of essential items like medicines and food. In these difficult times, India has come to the rescue of its neighbour as it continues to maintain supply of essential items. New Delhi has so far committed $1.9 billion to Sri Lanka in the form of credits for essential commodities and fuel, and also in loans and currency swaps. India recently sent consignments of fuel and a shipment of 7,000 metric tons of rice to Sri Lanka.
This consignment of 11,000 metric tons has come under the $1 billion credit line extended by India to Sri Lanka. And what is pertinent to note is that this consignment has materialized within a month from the finalization of this particular credit line. And that too, this has reached the shores of Sri Lanka just before the people of Sri Lanka celebrate their New Year. And under this particular credit line, already 16,000 metric tons have been supplied. And moving forward, I think we would see more such consignments coming in a scheduled manner.
Sri Lanka is struggling with plummeting foreign reserves and an estimated $25 billion in foreign debt due for repayment over the next 5 years. It led to massive anti-government protests in Colombo city and other parts of the country. Angry protesters have accused the Rajapaksa family of economic mismanagement. Some protesters said they would only leave if the Rajapaksas step down.
So this is a protest where they're going to do until all the Rajapaksas leave and all the ministers leave from the ruling party. So day and night, so there are people camping here for days and night. They're going to stay here till all the Rajapaksas and the corrupted politicians leave.
The economic uncertainty has forced many people to leave Sri Lanka and take shelter in neighbouring India. Over 40 refugees from the crisis-hit nation reached Tamil Nadu, where the local authorities have set a relief camp. Sri Lankan Tamil refugees living in southern India are worried about their friends, family and relatives in the island nation amid the ongoing economic crisis.
அப்போ அதால் என்ன சொல்கிறேன் எது சொல்கிறேன்னே தெரியல. எங்களோட ஆக்கள் இன்னும் சொந்த பந்தங்கள் எல்லாம் இன்னும் சீரழிஞ்சிட்டு தான் இருக்குது. சாப்பாடு இல்லாமல் பொருளாதாரங்கள் சரியான கஷ்டம், உழைப்பில்லை.
Sri Lanka needs $3 to $4 billion this year to pull itself out of an unprecedented economic crisis and plans to start talks with the International Monetary Fund for help. This effort would provide fiscal reforms to curtail expenditures and boost revenues of the island nation.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch. Half of the children aged 9 and below have been infected with the novel coronavirus, according to South Korean Disease Control and Prevention Agency. According to the data released by the agency, the accumulative COVID-19 infections in children aged 9 and below in the country have reached 1,887,337 as of Saturday, which means that nearly 50,190 out of every 100,000 in the age group being infected with the virus, hitting the highest infection rate among other age groups. Among various age groups, people aged 10 to 19 saw second highest rate of novel coronavirus infections, with 42,289 out of every 100,000 infected with the virus. The COVID-19 epidemic in South Korea deteriorated rapidly in February and March as the Omicron variant spread across the country, particularly with the daily increase of confirmed cases reported on March 17 exceeding 620,000, the highest recorded since the outbreak in South Korea. South Korea launched a booster vaccination campaign for minors aged 12 to 17 in mid-March and began vaccinating children aged 5 to 11 at the end of March. Asma Khalil, whose brother, an officer in the Iraqi army, was killed by a war remnant. She says the more they disable IEDs, the more her pain goes away. The Swiss Foundation for Mine Action to clear minefields that each year cause deaths in Iraq has helped her start coping with the grief caused by her brothers passing away. During the past year, about 52 people were killed by war remnants, a statement by Iraq's Ministry of Environment read last month. According to UNICEF and Oman's 519 children have been killed or maimed in Iraq due to explosive ordnance over the last 5 years. Since 2019, Khalil has worked with the FSD in northern Iraq, where impoverished minefields laid by Islamic State not only cause potentially lethal accidents but also prevent local farmers from cultivating their land. Khalil now leads a team of 5 women who meticulously clear one patch of land at a time. But according to Khalil, working as a woman in the field of mine action remains difficult in Iraq. She says her society does not accept that women work in a field that is somehow of military nature. Casio is renowned all over the world for manufacturing calculators. In Japan, scientific calculators are used in the classes of universities and technical colleges. Casio trains teachers and built a pilot curriculum in Thailand education, where scientific calculators are not used. Casio tries to use them for future math education by receiving feedback from student and teacher and verifying it. Casio is both a manufacturer and an educator. It aims to expand its coverage to other emerging countries as well. These tiny but talented bike riders are participants of the latest riding academy, which was organized by Yamaha Motors in Japan. Children ride these small motorbikes which are driven by advanced driving techniques. Yamaha Riding Academy aims to make experience of joyful bike riding and education of safety. It has been 28 years, all children are accompanied by their parents. There is very intimate and mutual communication. During this event, primary school and junior high school students participated with their parents. Their mission is mastering motorbike riding in 3 hours teaching. Kids' motorbike is improved small and fitting to their capability. The instructor will teach the children 3 important points regarding safe driving, switch check, brake and safety check. With the support of their parents, children learn braking and driving one by one. In this lesson, children gradually increase the distance of their motorbikes. Children can see the parents sign and operate brake and accelerator. They could run around the course to their parents by accelerating, slowing down and controlling the brake. Yamaha Family Motorbike Academy is held around the world. These kids are trained to handle motorcycles very safely. These children will grow to become good and safe bikers. The foreign trade at the Henan Free Trade Port has grown faster than the national level in the past 4 years since its establishment in 2018. In April 13, 2018, Chinese President Xi Jinping, also General Secretary of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, delivered an important speech at a conference celebrating the 30th anniversary of the founding of Henan Province and the Henan Special Economic Zone. giving Henan a new historical mission to comprehensively deepen reform and opening up, and supporting Henan in gradually exploring and steadily promoting the construction of a free trade port with Chinese characteristics. According to customs statistics, the import and export value of Henan's foreign trade increased from 70.28 billion yuan in 2017 to 147.68 billion yuan in 2021, with an average annual growth rate of 20.4%, 11.5 percentage points faster than the national average and ranking second in China. Thanks to the preferential policies, more foreign capital in Henan is flowing into the real economy. In 2021, the actual use of foreign investment in modern services and manufacturing in Henan accounted for over 97% of the total. Henan will continue to open up to investment on a wider range and at a deeper level. Moving on to Nepal, where a 48-year-old female alpinist is all set to begin her climbing activities in Mount Everest region early next month, aiming to scale the world's highest peak for the 10th time this season. Lakpa Sherpa wants to use the opportunity to bring attention to gender equality and environmental issues. Have a look.
Aiming to break her own record of highest peaks of Mount Everest, mountaineer Lakpa Sherpa will attempt to scale the world's highest peak for the 10th time this season. 48-year-old Sherpa works as a housekeeper in the United States. She will first start off by scaling the Everest base camp and will attempt the summit from the south side, which is considered to be full of difficulties. Claiming it to be a trial for her planned summit of Everest following the same route set by Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary, Sherpa claims she would make the summit attempt in coming years.
जानुको लागि म रेडी गरिरहेको छु सबै प्याकिङहरु सिध्यो अनि म चाहिँ एकदम ओल्ड स्टलले पहिले एल्महिरी तेन्जिङ शेर्पा कसरी गएको छ म यहाँबाट सालारी जान्छु सालारीबाट हाम्रो यो डकुमेन्टहरु पनि मसँगै जान्छु सालारीबाट चाहिँ म एकदम ओल्ड स्टल फलो गर्छु अहिले म किनभने नयाँ डिजाइन त यङ जेनेरेसनले गरिहाल्छ अनि आई वाल म टिचिङ एकदम ओल्ड सिस्टम अनि अहिले चाहिँ यङ जेनेरेसनले चाहिँ ओल्ड सिस्टम बिर्सिएको रहेछ हैन अलिकति बिर्सिएको जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई तर त्यो भए पनि मैले जे गर्छु उनीहरु फलो गर्दै रहेछ त्यही कारणले म ओल्ड स्टल टाइपले क्लाइम्बिङ गर्छु.
The Guinness Book of World Record holder for most peaks by a woman, Lakpa Sherpa, also made it on the list of BBC's 100 Women of the Year in 2016. She had also scaled Everest 8 months after the birth of her first daughter and while she was 2 months pregnant with her second child.
एज भनेपछि पातलास नाग्यो हैन 30 नाग्यो म त बुढी भयो भन्छ. अब अमेरिकामा त 50 र 40 वर्षमा पेभ गर्छ हैन बुढी आमाहरु अनि त्यही भएर चाहिँ उनीहरुको एक्टिभिटी हेर्दा नि हामी एकदम उनीहरुको एक्टिभिटी पनि राम्रो हो किनभने अब मनले नि अब म बुढी भयो म त अब बुढी भइसक्यो बुढो भइसक्यो भनेपछि त्यो त मनले हारेस खाएको हो नि त. दैट इज नो एक्टिभिटी इन लाइफ बा वी हैव मच एक्टिभिटी लभ आउटडोर हैन 100 वर्षले पनि त हैन 17 वर्षले पनि मान्छे एभरेज आरेको छ हैन. यो स्पोर्ट भनेको चाहिँ खास गरी एभरेज र यो आउटडोर स्पोर्ट्स चाहिँ ओल्ड मान्छेले गर्न नसक्ने चाहिँ हैन ओल्ड मान्छेले गर्ने काम हो यो खास गरी.
Hundreds of climbers flock each year to Nepal to scale Himalayan peaks during the spring season that begins around March and ends in June. As per the expedition report, a total of 204 climbers from 42 countries have acquired the permission to scale Mount Everest this season.
India celebrates a number of festivals throughout the year which are a true manifestation of its rich culture and traditions. No matter whether it is a Hindu, Muslim or a Christian festival, every occasion is celebrated with great merriment across the country. This was recently observed during the occasion of Palm Sunday, as Christians from across the country commemorated the festival with much joy and enthusiasm.
Christians in different parts of the country took to the streets with the fresh-cut palm fronds in their hands as they marked the holy procession of Palm Sunday, the festival that commemorates Jesus Christ's entry into the city of Jerusalem before getting arrested and crucified. According to the Bible, when Jesus entered Jerusalem on a donkey, the crowd greeted him by waving olive branches and by covering the path en route with olive and palm branches. To mark this event, Palm Sunday assumes the significance of distribution of palm leaves that are blessed by the priests, often tied to cross of the worshippers in churches.
എന്നാൽ ദൈവത്തിൻ്റെ അളവറ്റ കൃപയാൽ ആ പ്രതിസന്ധികളൊക്കെയും നീങ്ങി ഈ വർഷം ശുഭകരമായി ഓശാന പെരുന്നാൾ സംബന്ധിക്കുവാൻ തക്കവണ്ണം ഒരു സാഹചര്യം നമുക്ക് ദൈവം നൽകിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഈ അവസരം ഈ വർഷം നമ്മൾ പരമാവധി ഉപയോഗിച്ച് എല്ലാവരും ദേവാലയത്തിൽ പോയി ശുശ്രൂഷകളിലൊക്കെയും പങ്കെടുത്ത് സംബന്ധിച്ച് അനുഗ്രഹം പ്രാപിക്കുവാൻ തക്കവണ്ണം.
After the procession, special prayers are offered in all Roman, Catholic, Orthodox and Jacobite churches. The Thursday after the Palm Sunday is observed as Holy Thursday, during which priests of the churches wash the feet of 12 devotees, symbolizing Jesus Christ washing the feet of 12 apostles before his crucifixion, which is then followed by Good Friday. Palm Sunday, followed by Good Friday, and then Easter are significant events in the Christian culture that mark the journey of Jesus Christ.
Jesus voluntarily gives himself for the suffering as a king. Many would say, as a king, how can he suffer? But today, as we are entering into the Holy Week, and it is the season of Lent, and this is the climax of the season of the Lent. The entire week is in celebration, remembering the passion, death and the resurrection of Jesus.
This Holy Week, which begins from Palm Sunday and ends on Easter Sunday, marks the last week of Lent, a period of 40 days which comes before Easter in the Christian calendar, commemorating Christ's 40 days in the wilderness, traditionally a time of fasting and reflection.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.